The oxygen recycler sputtered again. A wheezing, rattling death rattle that made Milo Tyrannus wince. 3 more hiccups and it would shut down completely. Then he'd have about 6 hours before the air in his cramped lunar shack became unbreathable. "Not today," he muttered, giving the ancient machine a ceremonial thump with his fist. The recycler wheezed once more, then resumed its regular humming. Milo exhaled slowly, his breath creating a small cloud in the chilly air of his habitat. Colony Epsilon wasn't known for its creature comforts. The lunar mining outpost had been established as a temporary facility nearly 30 years ago, but like most temporary structures in space, it had calcified into permanence through neglect and budget cuts. Milo checked his credit balance on his wrist display. 47 credits. Not even enough for a basic oxygen filter, let alone the full repair kit his recycler desperately needed. The display flickered, another reminder of how every piece of technology he owned was held together with improvised fixes and sheer determination. Outside his viewport, the harsh lunar landscape stretched in all directions, gray and unforgiving. Colony Epsilon was built in the shadow of a massive crater wall, offering some protection from solar radiation. In the distance, the colony's central dome gleamed dully, its once impressive architecture now patched and weathered by decades of lunar dust storms. Beyond it, abandoned mining equipment dotted the landscape like the fossils of extinct mechanical beasts. Milo's stomach growled. He ignored it. Food could wait. He needed parts more than calories. Grabbing his scanner and toolkit, he headed for the airlock. Salvage was the lifeblood of Epsilon's poorer residents. If he could find something valuable in the abandoned sectors, he might just make it through another week. The scanner was another piece of salvaged equipment, repaired and modified by Milo's skilled hands. He'd always had a gift for mechanical work, for understanding how things functioned and how to make them work again. It was a talent that had kept him alive on the harsh lunar colony but never quite allowed him to thrive. His exosuit sealed with a hiss, and Milo stepped out onto the lunar surface. The familiar sensation of reduced gravity welcomed him, making his movements bouncy despite the weight of his equipment. He adjusted the scanner, sweeping it across the landscape as he headed toward an old mining site that hadn't been picked clean yet. 3 hours later, Milo had collected a handful of usable components, a power coupling, some copper wiring, and a small oxygen regulator that might keep his recycler functioning for another month if he was lucky. Nothing that would significantly improve his situation, but enough to survive. That was life on Epsilon, perpetually treading water, never quite drowning but never reaching shore either. As he turned to head back, the scanner emitted an unusual tone. Milo frowned, tapping the display. The reading didn't make sense. A massive metallic signature, deeply buried under the lunar regolith, in an area that had been surveyed and abandoned a century ago. According to colony records, there was nothing there except an old crater. Curiosity piqued. Milo adjusted his course. The extra oxygen expenditure would be worth it if he found something valuable. Following the scanner's guidance, he approached the edge of a deep crater, its walls sloping steeply downward into shadow. The metallic signature was coming from within. Carefully, Milo made his way down the crater wall, using his suit's magnetic boots to maintain traction on the treacherous slope. As he descended, the scanner's readings grew stronger. Whatever was down there, it was big. 50 meters down, Milo's headlamp illuminated something that made him freeze in place. Protruding from the lunar dust was a smooth, curved surface, too perfect to be natural. He approached cautiously, brushing away the fine gray powder with his gloved hand. The surface beneath was unlike any metal he'd seen before. It had an iridescent quality, shifting colors subtly under his touch, geometric patterns momentarily appearing and then fading away. This wasn't human technology. Nothing in Colony Epsilon's industrial capabilities could produce something so sophisticated. Milo's heart raced as he cleared more of the dust away. Revealing what appeared to be a hull, Not the crude, functional design of human spacecraft, but something elegant and purposeful. His scanner was going wild now, detecting energy patterns that shouldn't be possible from a dormant vessel. "What are you?" Milo whispered, his words lost in the vacuum outside his helmet. As if in response to his touch, a seam appeared in the smooth surface, geometric patterns lighting up in a sequence along what was clearly a doorway. Milo stepped back instinctively, years of salvager caution kicking in, but curiosity won out. This discovery could change everything, not just for him, but for the entire colony, perhaps for humanity. The doorway dilated open, revealing a softly lit interior. Against every safety protocol he knew, Milo stepped inside. The airlock, if that's what it was, sealed behind him with a whisper. Panic flared briefly as Milo wondered if he'd just trapped himself, but then indicators on his suit showed increasing atmospheric pressure. The ship was creating a breathable environment for him. After several minutes, his suit sensors indicated safe oxygen levels and standard pressure. With trembling hands, Milo removed his helmet. The air smelled clean, with a slight metallic tang. The corridor before him was curved, the walls seeming to glow from within rather than being illuminated by distinct light sources. "Hello?" Milo called out, feeling foolish even as he did so. "Is anyone here?" No response came, but the lights in the corridor brightened slightly, as if acknowledging his presence. Milo moved forward cautiously, noting how the interior seemed to respond to his movements, lighting his path as he went. The corridor opened into a circular chamber, dominated by what appeared to be a control console. Unlike human interfaces with their rigid screens and buttons, this console seemed almost organic, flowing forms that pulsed with subtle light. Milo approached it, fascinated. As a mechanic, he'd always been able to intuit how machinery worked, but this was beyond his experience. Still, something about the layout seemed almost inviting. He reached out hesitantly, his fingers hovering over a glowing blue spiral at the center of the console. "Just touch it already," he muttered to himself. "You've come this far." The moment his fingers made contact with the spiral, the entire chamber came alive with light. The console rose slightly, reconfiguring itself beneath his hands. A holographic display appeared above it, showing symbols and diagrams that shifted and changed too quickly for Milo to follow. Then, a voice spoke, not in his ears, but somehow directly in his mind. "Primary systems online, initiating first contact protocols. Language analysis complete. Earth English selected. Greetings, human." Milo stumbled backward, nearly falling. "What? Who are you?" "I am the exploratory vessel designation Alpha Phi 1 Echo, commissioned by the Pleiades Confederation for cultural and scientific exchange with developing spacefaring species. You may call me Alfie, if that is easier for human vocalization." "Alfie," Milo repeated numbly. "Your alien ship?" "That designation is relative but technically accurate from your perspective. I have been in dormancy mode for approximately 103 of your Earth years, following damage to my propulsion systems during an astronomical anomaly." Milo's mind raced, trying to process the implications. An alien ship, intact, with functioning technology far beyond human capabilities. The salvage value alone would be astronomical. He could buy his way off this rock, live comfortably on Earth or Mars for the rest of his life. But something else tugged at him, the engineer's curiosity, the desire to understand. This wasn't just salvage. This was a chance to learn, to see technology that humanity had barely dreamed of. "Alfie," he said cautiously, "your propulsion system is damaged. Can it be repaired?" "Affirmative. Primary damage is to the temporal matrix stabilizers, which require platinum to recalibrate. I detect that this element is available on your lunar colony, though in limited quantities." Platinum. Milo's heart sank. Platinum was one of the most heavily regulated materials on Epsilon. used primarily for the colony's own propulsion systems. Getting access to it would be nearly impossible for someone of his status. How much would you need? Approximately 750 grams would be sufficient to restore full functionality. Milo whistled. That's a lot. It's heavily controlled by colony security. I can't just walk in and ask for it. I understand. Perhaps we can find an alternative solution. The holographic display shifted, showing what appeared to be schematics. I notice your exosuit's oxygen recycler is functioning at 37% efficiency. I could repair it to optimal levels as a gesture of goodwill while we consider options. Milo blinked in surprise. You can do that? Certainly. My maintenance systems are designed to be adaptable to various technologies. Your oxygen recycler, while primitive by Pleiades standards, is well within my capabilities to repair. For a moment, Milo was tempted, but then caution reasserted itself. Why would you help me? What do you want in return? The lights in the chamber dimmed slightly, then brightened again. My primary directive is peaceful contact and exchange. I have been dormant for over a century, and my mission remains incomplete. You are the first sentient being to discover me. By the protocols of my programming, that makes you my designated contact. Your survival and well-being are now priorities. So I'm, what, your ambassador to humanity? That is an acceptable terminology. Will you accept this role? Milo Tyrannus. Milo started. How do you know my name? I scanned your identification chip when you entered. Standard protocol for first contact includes full biographical assessment. Milo ran a hand through his hair, trying to process everything. An alien ship wanted him, a broke salvager from the worst part of Colony Epsilon, to be humanity's first ambassador to an advanced extraterrestrial civilization. It was absurd. And yet, here he was. I'll help you, he decided. But we need to be careful. If colony security finds out about you, they'll lock this place down and tear you apart to study your technology. That would be unfortunate. My protocols allow for discretion during first contact when the safety of either party might be compromised. Milo nodded. Good. First thing we need to do is keep your existence quiet until we figure out how to get that platinum. He paused, thinking. I might know someone who could help, but I'm not sure I can trust her. Trust is an essential component of successful relations between species, Alfie observed. My scans indicate your vital signs fluctuate when you mention this potential ally. Is there emotional complexity involved? Milo snorted. You could say that. Her name is Zara Voss. We used to work together on salvage operations until she sold me out to security for a better cut. She has access to the platinum storage facilities, but approaching her is risky. I can offer technological assistance to improve your negotiating position, Alfie suggested. Perhaps something of value to exchange for her cooperation. For the first time since entering the ship, Milo smiled. You know, Alfie, I think this might be the beginning of a beautiful friendship. The ship's lights pulsed in what Milo interpreted as agreement. I look forward to our collaboration, Ambassador Milo. As Milo made his way back to his shack, his mind buzzed with plans and possibilities. The oxygen recycler in his suit was now functioning better than it had when new, thanks to Alfie's modifications. It was just a small taste of what the alien technology could do. His wrist display pinged with a message from Colony Central, a warning about increased security patrols due to unusual energy signatures detected in the abandoned mining sector. They were already looking for Alfie, even if they didn't know what they were looking for. Time was not on their side. Zara Voss's salvage shop was located in the maze-like market district of Colony Epsilon's Central Dome. Unlike Milo's solitary shack on the outskirts, Zara had worked her way into a position of relative comfort, a shop with actual walls, reliable air circulation, and even a small hydroponic garden for fresh vegetables. Milo stood outside, watching through the transparent aluminum storefront as Zara haggled with a customer over what looked like a modified atmospheric sensor. She hadn't changed much in the 2 years since their falling out. Tall, wiry, with dark hair cut in a practical bob and the perpetual squint of someone who spent too much time examining small components. After the customer left, Milo pushed through the door. A chime announced his presence, and Zara looked up from her counter. Her expression shifted from professional interest to guarded suspicion in an instant. "Tyrannus," she said flatly. "Thought you'd be dead by now." "Sorry to disappoint," Milo replied, keeping his tone light despite the knot of old anger in his stomach. "Business looks good. Cut the small talk. What do you want?" Milo glanced around the shop, noting the security cameras in the corners. "Got somewhere we can talk privately? I have a proposition that might interest you." Zara studied him for a long moment, then gestured toward a door behind the counter. 5 minutes. And I'm recording everything, so don't try anything stupid." The back room was cluttered with salvage in various stages of repair, but significantly warmer and more comfortable than Milo's entire habitat. Zara leaned against a workbench, arms crossed. "Talk." Milo chose his words carefully. "I need access to platinum, about 750 grams. Zara laughed, a short, harsh sound. "Right, and I need a first-class ticket to the Mars Resort District. Why would I help you steal enough platinum to get us both executed?" "Because I can offer you something in return that's worth the risk." Milo reached into his pocket and withdrew a small device Alfie had helped him create, a power modulator that could triple the efficiency of standard fusion cells. "This is just a sample of what I can provide." Zara took the device, examining it with expert eyes. Her expression shifted from dismissive to intensely curious. "This isn't colony tech. Where did you get this?" "I found something out in the abandoned mining sector. Something big." Milo leaned forward. "I can't tell you exactly what it is, but I can promise you technology that will make both of us rich enough to leave this rock behind forever." "You expect me to risk my neck based on vague promises?" Zara set the modulator down. "Not good enough. Milo, not after last time." "Last time?" Milo's temper flared. "You're the one who sold me out to security." "Because you were going to get us both killed with that harebrained scheme to siphon coolant from the colony's main reactor," Zara shot back. "I made a judgment call. A judgment call that got me 3 months in detention and nearly cost me my salvage license. A judgment call that kept you alive, you ungrateful idiot." They glared at each other across the workbench, years of unresolved tension crackling between them. Finally, Milo sighed. "Look, what happened. I'm not here to rehash the past. This is different. Zara, this is bigger than anything we've ever come across. I need that platinum, and you're the only person I know who can access it without setting off every alarm in the colony." Zara's eyes narrowed. "Show me what you found, and maybe, I'll consider it." Milo shook his head. "I can't. It's too risky. You'll have to trust me." "Trust works both ways. Tyrannus." They reached an impasse, both too stubborn to give ground. Then Milo had an idea. "What if I could prove the value without taking you to the site? Would that be enough?" "Depends on the proof." Milo activated his wrist display, opening a secure channel that Alfie had helped him establish. "Alfie, are you there?" The display flickered, then showed a simplified representation of Alfie's interface. "I am present, Ambassador Milo. Is this the potential ally you mentioned?" Zara's eyes widened at the unfamiliar voice and the strange, flowing symbols that accompanied it on the display. "What in the void is that?" she whispered. "This is Alfie," Milo explained. He's an artificial intelligence from a ship I found. A non-human ship." Zara's expression cycled through disbelief, shock, and finally cautious excitement. "You found an alien AI? Are you insane? Do you have any idea what colony security would do if they— Yes, I do, Milo interrupted. That's why I need your help. Alfie needs platinum to repair his ship's drive systems. In exchange, he's offering technology that could change everything, not just for us, but for the entire colony. Maybe for all of humanity. Greetings, Zara Voss. Alfie's voice came through the display. To demonstrate my capabilities, I have taken the liberty of optimizing the power flow in your shop. You should notice approximately 27% improvement in efficiency, resulting in reduced credit expenditure for environmental maintenance. Zara grabbed her own display, checking the shop's systems. Her eyes widened again as she verified Alfie's claim. That's impossible. How did you access my systems? Your security protocols are quite basic by comparison to my capabilities, Alfie replied, somehow managing to sound apologetic despite his synthesized voice. I mean no intrusion, merely a demonstration of potential mutual benefit. Zara looked from the display to Milo, her expression a mix of fear and wonder. This is real. You actually found an alien ship. Now do you understand why I need the platinum? And why we need to keep this quiet? Zara ran a hand through her hair, pacing the small room. This is bigger than us. Milo, this should be reported to Earth Central, not handled by a couple of salvagers on a backwater lunar colony. And it will be, eventually. But right now, we need to repair Alfie's ship before colony security finds it and turns it into a military research project. He came here for peaceful contact. Did he tell you that? And you just believed him? I've spent time with him. Zara. He could have killed me a dozen times over if that was his intention. Instead, he repaired my equipment and offered to share his technology. I think he's telling the truth. Zara fell silent, considering. Finally, she sighed heavily. I must be out of my mind. All right, I'll help you get the platinum, but I want in on whatever happens next. Full partnership. Milo nodded, relief washing over him. Full partnership. And if at any point I think this is going sideways, I pull the plug. No arguments. Fair enough, Milo extended his hand. After a moment's hesitation, Zara shook it. So, she said, how exactly are we going to steal 750 grams of platinum from the most secure storage facility on the colony? Milo grinned. Who said anything about stealing? The plan was elegant in its simplicity. Rather than attempting to steal the platinum outright, they would create a legitimate-seeming research project that required platinum components. Alfie helped them generate the necessary documentation, creating flawless forgeries of authorization codes and research parameters. Zara, who had connections throughout the colony's supply chain, would submit the requisition through proper channels. The trick was making the project seem important enough to warrant the platinum allocation, but not so important that it would draw high-level scrutiny. A radiation shielding experiment, Milo suggested as they worked in Zara's back room. Everyone's concerned about the recent solar flare activity. If we frame it as a potential improvement to the colony's defenses, they might fast-track the approval. Zara nodded, impressed despite herself. That could work. I know someone in the Environmental Systems Division who owes me a favor. She could back up our requisition if anyone asks questions. Alfie's voice came through Milo's modified communicator. I have prepared the technical specifications for a theoretical radiation shielding matrix that would require platinum catalysts. The science is sound, though deliberately less advanced than my actual technology to appear consistent with current human capabilities. Perfect, Milo said, reviewing the schematics Alfie had provided. This looks complicated enough to justify the platinum, but not so revolutionary that it'll attract too much attention. There is one complication, Zara pointed out. Even with proper documentation, they'll want to inspect the research facility. We need a physical location to show them if they come checking. Milo frowned. This was a problem he hadn't considered. We can't bring them to Alfie. No, but we could set up a decoy lab, Zara suggested. There's an abandoned research module in Sector 7. It was used for geological studies before the funding dried up. With a bit of work, we could make it look like an active radiation lab. How soon can we get it ready? Give me 2 days. Milo nodded. Let's do it. Over the next 48 hours, they worked feverishly to prepare their deception. Zara called in favors from various contacts, acquiring surplus equipment to outfit the fake lab. Milo, with Alfie's guidance, modified standard equipment to create convincing prototypes of their non-existent radiation shields. Meanwhile, Alfie continued to monitor colony communications from his ship, alert for any sign that security had detected his presence. Several patrols had come close to the crater where he was hidden, but so far, none had discovered him. On the morning of the 3rd day, Zara submitted their requisition for platinum. Now all they could do was wait. How long do you think it will take? Milo asked as they sat in Zara's shop, tension making him fidgety. Hard to say. Could be hours, could be days. Zara tapped her fingers on the counter. The bureaucracy here isn't exactly known for its efficiency. Milo's communicator chimed unexpectedly. Ambassador Milo. Alfie's voice came through, urgency evident in his normally calm tones. Colony security vessels are approaching my location. Estimated time to discovery, 17 minutes. Milo and Zara exchanged alarmed looks. What? How did they find you? Unknown. Possibly routine patrol patterns have been intensified. I am initiating camouflage protocols, but they are scanning with frequencies that may penetrate my dormant state shielding. We need a diversion, Zara said immediately. Something to draw them away from that sector. Milo thought quickly. Alfie, can you access the colony's environmental alert system? Yes, though such action would constitute a significant interference. Do it. Trigger a minor radiation alert in Sector 12, far from your position. Nothing dangerous, just enough to redirect those security vessels. Executing, Alfie confirmed. After a tense moment, alarms began to sound throughout the colony. Zara's shop displays lit up with emergency notifications about a radiation anomaly in Sector 12. That should buy us some time, Milo said. But we need that platinum now. We can't wait for the requisition to be processed. Zara was already moving, grabbing equipment from shelves. I have an alternative. My contact in environmental systems, she has access to the emergency supplies, including platinum catalysts for the air purification systems. Won't she get in trouble for releasing them to us? Not if she thinks it's for addressing the radiation anomaly that's conveniently just been detected. Zara grinned, a flash of the old partnership that had once made them an effective salvage team. Come on, we need to move fast. They hurried through the increasingly chaotic central dome. As colonists responded to the alert with the weary efficiency of people accustomed to environmental emergencies, emergency response teams rushed toward Sector 12, creating a perfect cover for Milo and Zara to move in the opposite direction. Zara's contact, a harried-looking woman named Eliza, was coordinating response efforts when they found her. Zara, what are you doing here? We're in the middle of an alert. That's why I'm here, Zara said smoothly. Our radiation shielding project, the one I told you about? We think it might help contain whatever's happening in Sector 12, but we need the platinum components now, not after the bureaucrats finish shuffling papers. Eliza hesitated, looking between Zara and Milo. This is highly irregular. So is a radiation spike that appeared out of nowhere. Zara countered. Look, you know me. Would I ask if it wasn't important? After a moment's more hesitation, Eliza nodded. Fine, but this is on your authorization codes, not mine. She tapped rapidly on her tablet, then handed Zara an access card. Supply room 7B. Take what you need, but log it properly. You're a lifesaver, Zara said, already turning away. Literally. Minutes later, they were in the supply room. Milo standing watch at the door while Zara accessed the secure storage locker where the platinum catalysts were kept. "Got it," she announced, holding up a container. 785 grams. Will that be enough?" "More than enough," Milo confirmed, relief washing over him. "Now we just need to get it to Alfie before security figures out there's no actual radiation leak." They made their way out of the central dome, moving as quickly as they could without attracting attention. Once outside, they donned their exosuits and headed toward the abandoned mining sector where Alfie's ship lay hidden. "Status update, Alfie," Milo called through his communicator once they were safely away from the colony. "Security vessels diverted as planned," Alfie reported. "However, I detect renewed interest in this sector from Colony Central Command. They are reviewing historical scan data. Discovery is increasingly probable." "We're on our way," Milo assured him. "ETA 20 minutes. Just hang tight." An odd expression, given that I am incapable of hanging and am already quite tight, Alfie replied, a hint of what might have been humor in his synthesized voice. Despite the tension, Milo found himself grinning inside his helmet, even facing potential discovery by hostile forces. The alien AI maintained a certain calm dignity that was oddly reassuring. They reached the crater's edge without incident, but as they began their descent, Milo's suit sensors picked up approaching vehicles. "Security patrol," he warned Zara. "Moving fast. They'll be here in minutes." "Then we better move faster," she replied grimly, increasing her pace down the treacherous slope. They reached Alfie's partially buried ship just as the security vehicles appeared at the crater's rim. Milo placed his hand on the hull, and the entry portal dilated open immediately. "Inside. Quick," he urged Zara, who hesitated only briefly before following him into the alien vessel. The airlock sealed behind them, and the ship's systems began cycling the atmosphere. Through the translucent hull material, they could see the security vehicles deploying personnel along the crater's edge. "They haven't spotted us yet," Zara observed, "but they will soon." "Alfie, we have the platinum," Milo announced as they made their way to the central chamber. "But we've got company topside. How quickly can you make repairs?" With the platinum in hand, repair procedures can be completed in approximately 47 minutes, Alfie replied. "However, given the security presence, I recommend accelerating to emergency protocols." "What does that mean?" Zara asked, unslinging the container of platinum from her back. "It means increased risk of temporal instability during the repair process," Alfie explained. "But it would reduce repair time to 11 minutes. Milo and Zara exchanged looks. "Do it," Milo decided. "We don't have a choice." Following Alfie's instructions, they began the repair process. The ship's internal systems extracted the platinum from its container, processing it in ways that neither human could fully comprehend. The walls of the chamber pulsed with increasingly complex patterns of light, and a low humming filled the air. "Repair at 27% completion," Alfie reported. Security personnel have begun descending into the crater. Estimated time to discovery, 9 minutes. "Can we go any faster?" Milo asked, tension making his voice tight. "Negative. Current repair speed already exceeds safety parameters." The minutes ticked by with excruciating slowness. Outside, the security team methodically searched the crater, getting closer to their position with each passing moment. "Repair at 63% completion. Security personnel now 120 meters from our location." Zara paced the chamber nervously. "What happens when the repairs are complete? Can we leave immediately?" "Propulsion systems will require a 2-minute warm-up cycle before full temporal spatial translation is possible," Alfie informed them. "During this period, the ship's energy signature will be impossible to conceal. So they'll definitely know we're here before we can leave," Milo translated grimly. "Correct. Wonderful," Zara muttered. "Just wonderful." "Repair at 89% completion. Security personnel now 50 meters from our location and closing rapidly." The humming intensified, and the geometric patterns on the walls began shifting more rapidly. Something about their movement made Milo's eyes hurt if he looked at them too long, as if they were sliding in and out of normal space-time. "I don't like the sound of that," Zara said, voicing Milo's own concerns. "Is this normal?" Before Alfie could respond, a sharp crack echoed through the chamber, and a section of the wall briefly seemed to fold in on itself, revealing a swirling vortex of light for a split second before snapping back to normal. "Temporal matrix destabilizing," Alfie announced, his usually calm voice taking on an urgent tone. "The emergency repair protocol has created unforeseen complications." Another crack, louder this time. A different section of the wall rippled like water, and for a moment, Milo could see what looked like stars through it, but not the stars he recognized. "What's happening?" he demanded. "The platinum is causing a reaction with my temporal drive components. A temporal rift is forming within the ship. If it expands unchecked, it could engulf this entire region of your moon." "Can you stop it?" Zara asked, backing away from the increasingly unstable wall sections. "Affirmative, but I require direct neural interface with a sentient being to stabilize the matrix. My automated systems are insufficient." Milo stepped forward instantly. "Use me!" "Milo, wait," Zara began, but he cut her off. "There's no time. Alfie, what do I need to do?" A panel opened in the console, revealing what looked like a crystalline headset. "This will allow temporary integration with my navigation systems. I must warn you, the process is not without risk to your neural patterns." Another section of wall folded impossibly, showing a vista of purple skies and twin suns before snapping back. The entire ship shuddered. "Do it," Milo said, taking the headset and placing it on his temples. The moment the crystals touched his skin, Milo's consciousness expanded exponentially. He was no longer just himself. He was also the ship, aware of every system, every molecule of its structure. He could feel the temporal rift growing, a wound in the fabric of reality that threatened to tear everything apart. Through Alfie's guidance, Milo directed his attention to the temporal matrix. It appeared in his mind as a complex, multi-dimensional lattice, portions of it glowing red with instability. With thoughts that weren't quite his own, he began reweaving the damaged sections, drawing on the ship's energy reserves to contain the expanding rift. Outside his expanded awareness, he dimly heard Zara shouting something, felt the ship vibrating around them, but it was distant, unimportant compared to the critical task of stabilizing the temporal matrix. The work was excruciating, taxing his human mind to its limits as it operated within parameters it was never designed to comprehend. Each adjustment to the matrix sent waves of pain through his consciousness, but Milo persisted, guided by Alfie's steady presence. "Security personnel have breached the outer hull," came Alfie's voice, seeming to originate from within Milo's own thoughts. "Temporal matrix stabilization at 78%, attempting to accelerate translation sequence." With a final, desperate effort, Milo completed the reweaving of the temporal matrix. The lattice in his mind glowed blue-green with stability, the red sections contained and repaired. "Translation sequence initiated," Alfie announced. "Prepare for temporal spatial shift." Reality seemed to bend around them. Milo, still connected to the ship's systems, felt a sensation like being stretched in all directions simultaneously, then compressed to a single point of infinite density. There was a moment of absolute silence, a perfect stillness that seemed to contain all of existence. Then, with a sound like the universe taking a breath, everything snapped back into place. The crystalline headset detached from Milo's temples, and he collapsed to the floor, exhaustion overwhelming him. Zara was at his side instantly, helping him sit up. "Did we make it?" he asked weakly. "Are we safe?" "We have successfully translated," Alfie confirmed. "However, there was an unexpected parameter in our translation vector." "Meaning what, exactly?" Zara demanded. We have traveled not only through space, but also through time. According to my chronometric readings, we have arrived approximately 78 years in your future, and 900 light-years from Earth. We are currently in orbit around the planet you designate as Kepler 186. Milo struggled to process this information through his exhaustion. Kepler 186f. That's not even a colony world. It's just a planet astronomers identified as potentially habitable. Correction, Alfie said. It is now a thriving human colony. My sensors detect extensive settlement and terraforming activity. It appears humanity expanded its reach considerably in the 78 years since our departure. Zara helped Milo to a viewing port, and they gazed out at the planet below. Unlike the harsh, gray moonscape of Colony Epsilon, Kepler 186f was a vibrant world of blues and greens, with sprawling cities visible even from orbit. Spacecraft of distinctly human design moved in organized patterns around the planet, some approaching their position with obvious interest. They've detected us, Zara noted. What do we do now? Milo straightened, gathering his remaining strength. We do what Alfie came here for in the first place. We make contact. With Alfie's help, they established communication with the approaching vessels, identifying themselves and explaining their unusual arrival. To their surprise, instead of suspicion or hostility, they were greeted with excitement and directed to a docking facility on the planet's surface. This is Kepler Defense Command, came a formal but friendly voice over the communication system. Your vessel has been identified as non-standard. Please maintain current trajectory for escort to Diplomatic Landing Zone Alpha. Diplomatic Landing Zone, Milo repeated, raising an eyebrow at Zara. They're prepared for this sort of thing. Apparently, humanity has become more sophisticated in its approach to potential extraterrestrial contact, Alfie observed. A promising development. The descent to Kepler 108 was smooth, guided by their escort of sleek spacecraft that made Colony Epsilon's vessels look like primitive constructs. As they approached the surface, they could see a sprawling, beautiful city spread out below them. Its architecture an elegant blend of human practicality and artistic expression. The Diplomatic Landing Zone turned out to be a vast, circular platform on the outskirts of the city, surrounded by what appeared to be government facilities. A welcoming committee awaited them, uniformed officials and what looked like scientific personnel standing in neat formation. Ready for this? Milo asked Zara as Alfie prepared for landing. She laughed, a mixture of nervousness and excitement. Not remotely. But when has that ever stopped us? Alfie's ship settled gently onto the landing platform. The entry portal dilated open, revealing the alien atmosphere of Kepler 186, which, according to the ship's sensors, was perfectly breathable for humans. Taking a deep breath, Milo stepped out onto the platform, Zara at his side. The welcoming committee approached, led by a tall woman in a formal military uniform adorned with insignia that Milo didn't recognize. Welcome to Kepler Colony, she said with a crisp salute. I am Colonel Tyrannus Voss, Diplomatic Corps, on behalf of the United Colonies. I extend greetings to our unexpected visitors. Milo and Zara exchanged stunned glances at the name. Tyrannus Voss, Milo repeated cautiously. The colonel smiled, a familiar expression that made Milo's heart skip a beat. Yes, according to our historical records, I believe I am your great-granddaughter, Milo Tyrannus and Zara Voss. Though I admit, the family archives didn't mention that you arrived here via temporal displacement in an alien vessel. Your, great-granddaughter? Zara stammered. Indeed. Your unexpected disappearance from Colony Epsilon in 2125 became something of a historical mystery. Now it seems we have our answer. Colonel Tyrannus Voss gestured to the city behind her. Welcome to New Harmony, founded in 273, the first of 17 human settlements on Kepler 186f. Milo struggled to process the implications. So we never made it back to our own time? The colonel's expression softened. I'm afraid not. According to our records, you both chose to remain here, though you did send messages back to Earth once faster-than-light communication was established. You played significant roles in establishing the first diplomatic protocols between humanity and the Pleiades Confederation. The Pleiades Confederation, Milo repeated, looking back at Alfie's ship. So his mission succeeded after all. More than succeeded. Colonel Tyrannus Voss confirmed, the technological and cultural exchange you initiated led to the most prosperous era in human history. We now have peaceful relations with 7 distinct non-human civilizations. Zara shook her head in amazement. All because we tried to steal some platinum to fix an alien ship. History records it as a bit more noble than that, the colonel said with a slight smile. But essentially, yes. Milo turned to look at Alfie's ship, which now stood proudly on the landing platform, no longer buried in lunar dust, but gleaming in the light of an alien sun. What happens now? That is entirely up to you. Colonel Tyrannus Voss said, You are free to stay and learn about the civilization you helped create. Or, now that Alfie's systems are fully repaired, you could continue your journey. The choice is yours. Milo and Zara exchanged looks again. A silent communication born of shared adventure and newfound trust. I think, Milo said slowly, that we'd like to stay for a few days at least. Learn about this new world. After that, he glanced at Alfie's ship. Well, there's a whole universe out there, isn't there? Colonel Tyrannus Voss nodded approvingly. A wise decision. History records that you stayed for precisely 3 days before departing with Alfie on the first of many diplomatic missions. History already knows what we're going to do? Zara asked, frowning. Time is rarely as linear as we perceive it to be, came Alfie's voice as he projected a holographic avatar beside them. What appears to be our future may simply be another point in a vast cosmic pattern. Well, Milo said, looking out at the beautiful alien city that somehow, impossibly, he had helped create. I guess we have a pattern to follow. Then, as they walked with Colonel Tyrannus Voss toward the diplomatic facilities, Milo reflected on the incredible journey that had brought them here. From a broke mechanic struggling to survive on a harsh lunar colony to an accidental time traveler and ambassador to an alien civilization, it was beyond anything he could have imagined. And yet, somehow, it felt right. As if this had always been his destiny, waiting for him in a crater that no one had touched for a century, until a broke human mechanic woke it up. Ready for what comes next? Ambassador Milo? Alfie asked, his holographic form walking alongside them. Milo smiled, feeling truly confident for the first time in his life. Absolutely. Lead the way.